Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, the next Disneyland After Dark events are going on sale. Transportation around the resort is going to get complicated. DCA is turning 25.
Celebrate Soulfully is honoring the heritage of Black leaders, artists, and thinkers. We talk about the big changes at the top of the Walt Disney Company with Alex from Backside of Water and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the DL Weekly podcast. Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding. If this is your first time listening, we hope you'll check out our website at DLWeekly.net. If you have more time to spend, becoming an official weekly tier at DLWeekly.net/support is an especially good value. Thanks for traveling with us today, and we hope you have a happy and memorable listen to this week's episode.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of February 4th, 2026. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Tig Bushman. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show. This week, we'd like to give a special shout out to Stephanie S. for becoming a supporter, and Carolyn C., Katie C., and Brandon S. for continuing their support. Everybody's last names are a C or an S this time.
Look at that.
Well, if you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access to our supporter-only chat, and a bunch of other perks, including our book club, which we'll talk a little bit about again later in one of the news stories, head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
Now let's get to the news.
Dateline DL Weekly. Fiction becomes fact as the mysterious subcontinent reveals a legendary podcast. After 2,000 years, two hosts have been unearthed by famed archaeologist Dr. Henry Indiana Jones. Scholarly research laid the groundwork for Jones's discovery. Thus, the jungles of DL Weekly become the destination for listeners worldwide. And what a destination it is! Until next week, this is Eye on Breaking News.
The next two Disneyland After Dark nights are finally going on sale this week. Starting on Thursday, February 5th, and no earlier than 9 a.m. Disneyland time, tickets will be available to the public for Disneyland After Dark, Disney Channel night, and Star Wars night. Tuesday and Wednesday tickets will be open for Tuesday and Wednesday, tickets will be open for Magic Key holder sales. Disney Channel nights will take place on April 12th, 14th, and 16th. This year, Penny Proud from the Proud family will join other Disney Channel characters. Star Wars nights will take place on April 28th and 30th, and May 4th and 6th. Tickets are still available for Disneyland After Dark, 70 Years of Favorites on March 3rd and 5th. That's like the one I was the most excited about. How is that not sold out yet?
Yeah, I was wondering that too when I was doing the links in the stories for this week, that I also was excited for the Disneyland After Dark one, but there's still both nights I think that are available both nights are still available for it, which I think is a little bit crazy. There's also some food options that are coming up. So Disney Channel night, some of the specialty food is a new ice cream taco at Gibson Girl. There's also, actually that looks pretty good. There's also a new Agent P churro that's going to be at the churros near Sleeping Beauty Castle and near Buzz Lightyear and Big Thunder Mountain. And there's a loaded Dino Nuggies at Red Rose Tavern, the Golden Horseshoe, and Stage Door Cafe. These all look really good.
Isn't that funny?
You know what's funny this reminds me of? So, kind of off track, not Disney related. I have finally tried the Taco Bell has like some nacho fries or something. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. That's what this looks like.
I didn't know where that was going. And
Yeah.
like Taco Bell, I'm like, oh, maybe there's a like ice cream taco, but no, nacho fries.
No. So what are some of the food that's coming to Star Wars night?
So for Star Wars night, we've got the 5 Blossom bread that's going to be returning at Oga's Cantina.
Pizza 5 Blossom.
Oh yeah, sorry. Pizza 5 Blossom bread. There's also the Galactic Bunt Cake at Jolly Holiday and at the Galactic Grill. And then there's also the Bantha Gogi at Edelweiss Snacks and Maurice's Treat. I feel like I don't remember the Bantha Gogi. It's not marked as being new, but it looks delicious. It is served on everyone's favorite cheesy garlic pretzel bread.
I
Looks delicious.
really like the garlic. Like this is one of those meats that I think work because it's not a brat, and I'm not a big brat fan. It's not like a hot dog or whatever they've put in it before. But this is like kind of shredded meat. It just makes sense to me. Like I would try this, and I love bulgogi, so this I think would be really good.
Well, and I wonder if that would work because remember we did the quote unquote hack where we went over to and got a Bengal beef skewer and put it in there, and it was like savory on savory. It didn't quite work. I wonder if this would have a slightly different flavor profile, and so if it will work a little bit better together.
Suppose. Yeah, this nacho taco looks really good. nacho taco, the ice cream taco. Sorry, I was looking at two different things at once.
Still stuck on the nacho
It looks
fries.
good though. It's got like some strawberries on it and like some type of drizzle. It looks like chocolate ice cream.
It looks pretty thick though. Like,
yeah,
I don't think you're eating it
size,
really
though.
like a taco, but it looks like it's scoops of ice cream and not just like a little like thin layer of ice cream. Anyways, After Dark nights are fun, especially if you're very passionate about whatever the theme is. So in this case, whether it's, Disney Channel nostalgia or if it's Star Wars stuff, we always like to, because since we've done a couple of these ourselves, we always like to let people know, go in with like a short list of things and then check that off, and then everything else is a bonus, because there's so much to do at these events and so little time that it's very hard or very easy to kind of to want to do all the things, but it's very hard to do all the things. So anyways.
Yeah.
I like how we had like a fun, happy story, and now
yeah.
poor Tag has to bring on the bummer
Well,
news.
I was surprised about this one. The Anaheim Transportation Network, which runs the Anaheim Regional Transportation or ART service, along with the EVE service that takes people to the John Wayne Airport, and the FRAN, known as the it's known as FRAN, but it's Free Rides Around the Neighborhood service, will be winding down service by March 31st. Not only do the ART buses service a lot of the area hotels, which is actually how they were funded in part, but they also transport guests from the Toy Story parking lot to the resort. This leaves guests needing to walk, take a ride share, or rent a car to get from their hotels to the resort. Disneyland said in a statement that they are aware of the situation and are actively exploring next steps. I was shocked that this was happening.
Same. I was very surprised, but then I kind of took some time and reflected on it. The past few times that we had been on ART buses for various things, we had used, trying to remember what all we've, pretty much everything except for Fran. We used the regular ART buses, and we also used Eve at one point, and then they kind of had these like on-demand shuttles that they were doing at some point that you could like call for a ride and they'd shuttle you around. So we had been using it outside of just resort transportation and kind of using it for different things. Anyways, and I do remember the last couple of times that we had been on things, we were talking with the drivers, and they were talking about how like staffing issues, basically. So I wonder if maybe that never got better and things were getting worse, and that's what's causing this. Because I feel like just thinking about Toy Story, like how many guests they're shuttling to and from Toy Story alone is quite a few. And I would assume that, depending on where you are as far as the hotels that are not within walking distance, especially, it'd be getting a lot of use. I feel like there was always people when we were leaving at the harbor exit, there were always people lined up to get on these buses.
Yeah. Yeah, so I watched David from Fresh Baked had like a little special. Normally I only watch his construction stuff, but this one came up and I was like, oh, I'll see what he says about this because maybe he'll have some more information. And what he was able to dig up was that every month they were losing $750,000 to run this service.
$700,000?
Because what they had done was, I think it was like some small percentage of your resort fee that the hotel would charge you went to this Anaheim Resort Transit. And so that percentage wasn't increasing, but like all the expenses of like the buses and salaries and all of that stuff was all going up. And so it just got to the point where they weren't able to sustain it. And Disney had contracted them to run the buses from Toy Story to Disneyland, but obviously whatever that contract was also wasn't changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so what I think is going to happen is I think either Disneyland is going to buy some of these buses from them at a discount and run it themselves, or they're going to partner with some other bus thing. The problem is in Southern California, there's not a lot of other like bus operators.
Sure.
And the idea of like, oh, they can just use a ride share. Well, you've seen it. I've seen it. Anybody who's ever done a ride share to Disneyland, that area where ride share is right now can't even handle the volume of ride share that is there now. This is the area, if you're coming off a harbor, to the left of that blue sign in the shrub where Broomy sits, if you are aware of that story, to that left there is a drop-off area. And that area, especially at night, creates that backup when you're trying to cross harbor of rideshare vehicles trying to get in there. And that area was not really meant for the amount of volume that's going through there. Obviously, when the Eastern Gateway project comes up, it'll move to over there and they'll have probably plenty of room to be able to do that. But that's like at least a couple years away at this point.
Yeah. So the one thing that I was kind of thinking of with this announcement is in Walt Disney World, we kind of had the opposite thing happen where Disney had a shuttle service from the resort to the airport. And you could, if you were staying at Disney property, you could, I think it was called the Magical Express. You could take this shuttle service and it was extra magical because your bags would like they'd help with transferring your luggage and all that kind of stuff. Well, so the opposite happened there where Disney ran it. And then I want to say it didn't really come back after the pandemic. And a third party bought those buses from Disney and is now running, in essence, the same thing, but now you're paying a third party company to shuttle you back and forth. So I'm hoping the only thing that makes sense at this point, being an outsider looking in, is that, Disney's going to have to purchase some of those buses. Hopefully they can employ some of those folks that are, the drivers that are now out of work and other people. But it's hard to think of how this works without some sort of big bus shuttle transportation thing. And maybe if Disney does it, maybe they'll open up and they'll do shuttling, more shuttling to and from airports. So then there's better options there. I don't know. I'm trying to stay positive about this, but like you with the announcement, I was kind of like,
well, with the amount of how much it costs to go to the parks, and especially if you're staying, let's say you're staying on property, adding an option. Well, you as a travel planner, wouldn't you like to have Disney have an option?
Oh, 100%.
Where you could be like, hey, you can arrive at John Wayne, and maybe they only offer it to John Wayne, and that would be acceptable. I mean, LA would be good too, and LA is probably where most people come in, so maybe they would just do it at LA, but that they would have I don't know, 6 times a day we have a bus that goes from LAX to Disneyland as part of your vacation package if you book through the Walt Disney Travel Company or whatever, or through a planner like Concierge that uses the Walt Disney Travel Company. And so I feel like that would be a cool service to offer, because I feel like so many people have to figure out, I mean, we've had to do it. We either have to take rideshare from the airport, or we have to rent a car or have friends or whatever pick us up. And so it's just, you would think that Disney would want to make visiting their resorts as smooth and easy as possible. But I was so surprised, because this has been around, this, if I remember correctly, the Anaheim Transportation Network all came around, I want to say the same time that it became the resort, in the two.
Sure,
so I think it's been around a while. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's about the time that happened. And so the fact that it's been around for so long and now is leaving, and they were adding service, like you said, the Eve service was fairly new in the last few years. The Fran service that rides around the neighborhood, that was that thing that we could,
was that what it was?
Yeah,
Fran was on demand.
Yeah, because we could do on demand. It would pick us up at different places, which I thought was super great. But so unfortunately, Americans, not huge public transport people, don't want to pay money to help support it, and then of course prices and stuff go up and can't be sustained. But hopefully they'll figure something out, because I can't imagine that Disney's just going to be like, well, people could just walk from the Toy Story lot.
Yeah. Well, moving on to some brighter, sunnier news. In just a few days, on February 8th, Disney California Adventure will turn 25. To celebrate, park guests will get a commemorative park map while supplies last. Starting on February 6th, a Pal-Around popcorn bucket will be available that lights up and looks like the Pal-Around. Soarin' Over California is also returning until July 1st, when the new Soarin' Across America will premiere. Mickey and Minnie will also get new outfits inspired by the Sunshine Plaza, which should where Buena Vista Street does today.
I love this popcorn bucket.
I'm obsessed.
It's pretty cool looking. It lights up. It looks like the Fun Wheel. It doesn't look like the Wheel of Death part of the Fun Wheel.
You're right. It is just the stationary.
Yeah.
Just the stationary ones. But even if you look at it, each of those little cabs has the correct stickers and characters on them. It's so good. Kudos to that department for that. I just popcorn buckets. I'm trying very hard not to be a popcorn bucket person, but I think I need that one. I need to figure out how to get one of those.
So
man,
they have some pins that are available too.
Yes.
This big one in the middle here. Sorry for you people who are listening to this at home. I immediately screenshotted this and reached out to one of our community managers, and I was like,
I need this.
Can you pick this up if you see it in the park?
We will have the link in the show notes so you can look at everything that we're looking at. Oh, that's right. And
also,
we have a new character coming to the Storytellers Buffet. His name is Humphrey. He looks adorable. I want to hug this bear. But he is making his first Disney park appearance again at Storytellers, and he's going to be there starting on February 6th. But yeah, he'll be one of the characters that you get to meet during Donald's Tales of Adventure dinner buffet.
Yeah, I thought this was like, I didn't have that on my bingo card for this year, that there's going to be like a new character. Of course, Soren coming back, Soarin' Over California, always a great thing. These costumes that Mickey and Minnie have are very reminiscent of the 70th. It's that same kind of like bright, colorful. But yeah, they have a lot of the design that kind of looks retro to the openings and the beginnings of DCA. When this all started coming up, we started talking about 25 years. Part of me was saying, oh, yeah, 25 years. That seems like about how long DCA's been around. But then also part of me is like, it's only 25 years. But then also, it's already, so many emotions all over the place.
You need to go on the emotional whirlwind.
Yeah, something. Oh, don't get me started on the emotional whirlwind right now. Because they took it down for refurbishment. And they needed to the roof, like that you could see from the thing. They needed to paint. I don't think they did that. And I was like, you had the thing.
You had the opportunity.
But yeah, DCA. Happy birthday, DCA. 25 years. Crazy. Well, Celebrate Soulfully returns this year with Celebrate Gospel concerts in downtown Disney on February 20th and 21st and February 27th and 28th. New this year, a heritage trail across the resort will celebrate influential Black leaders, artists, and thinkers. On Main Street, Disney legend Martha Blanding, whose book is our book club pick this month, musician Scott Joplin, and Frederick Douglass will be honored in a window. Other honorees are located in New Orleans Square. Look for Disney animator Ron Husband. At Tiana's Palace, look for Leah Chase, who was the inspiration for Tiana. In Tomorrowland, former astronaut Guan S. Bluford Jr., and in Frontierland, musician Dom Flemons. Over in DCA on Buena Vista Street, Disney legend Floyd Norman. In Hollywoodland, Austin Taylor, Disney visual effects animator Marlon West, Disney lighting supervisor Olin Riley, and Imagineer and inventor Lonnie Smoot. Contemporary artist Nicholas Smith will be honored at the downtown Disney stage. So many names being honored for the month.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what all of these different displays look like. They do. My chat did share a photo of what Martha Blanding's looks like, and it's good. It's got it's like an old timey looking desk workstation type thing. But they have, so she was a VIP tour hostess, and they've got the very iconic VIP plaid on a pillow, like a pillow that's on the chair there. And then if you notice, the book that's on the desk looks time period correct to what the rest of the display is, but it says it's her book. It says Groundbreaking Magic on the spine right there. I think that's so it's one of those, if you didn't know, it's so well done that if you didn't really know what you were looking at, a normal guest maybe wouldn't realize that this is, honoring someone. I'm sure there's a little placard or something that explains it, but I think it's just done so well that it blends so seamlessly into Main Street.
The pillow looks like a tour guide, like a plaid outfit. Yeah. So they have that. Of course, there's good old Floyd Norman and his wife, who we've seen numerous times. Lanny Smoot, who has tons of patents that he's gotten through working with Disney. And then obviously Nicholas Smith, there's a nice photo of him out by the downtown Disney stage. Mm-hmm. So I love this idea that you kind of have to go around the resort and find these folks and their kind of stories. Yeah. Originally when it said that Martha Blanding and these other folks had a window on Main Street, I'm like, oh, she's got a window on Main Street. Oh, no, in a display window. Because I was like, it was weird to read because it looked like it was 3 people in one window. And I'm like, that seems odd.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they're running out of space, so you have to share your window now.
That is fair. But yeah, so Celebrate Soulfully. If you're in the area and want to attend any of the music at the end of the month, I think that also is going to be a great time.
Mm-hmm. Well, a slow-moving refurbishment in downtown Disney. I could probably pause there, and you could fill in the blank for several projects, but this one is making some progress. The walls on the left side of the Lego store have finally come out from behind construction walls. The new Prince Philip fighting the dragon Maleficent looks great. Even though the base is not made of Lego bricks, I think it's still
it looks cool.
It looks correct, right? It doesn't look out of place. The area also has some permanent umbrellas and creator space for guests outside.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, like a lot of things in Downtown Disney, I'm not sure what took so long for this to happen, because relatively simple updates, but I'm glad that they kept the Maleficent dragon up there, because that is kind of like a cool visual thing to see. And then like the little display area that Prince Philip is on with the vines and everything and the fire, it just looks really cool.
I think it's neat because, right, the piece of castle that he and his horse are on are now the same coloring as the Sleeping Beauty castle inside of Disneyland. I think that's a nice little touch. I don't remember the like glass out around it before, like at the base. Perhaps that was there before, but I really am enjoying the design of having like the thorny vines kind of like growing up and on it, and they're like silhouetted on the glass that's keeping you from being able to get right up close and personal with this display. But I think it's fun. I also like the green from the flames is also quite vibrant looking too.
Yeah, so previously, there was a slight thing, and they were on rocks instead of on a castle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these, I gotta try to find like a closer picture. But I was trying to figure out if this was made, if those things were made of Lego. Before? Yeah, which I think they were, but it's hard to tell. But I'm just glad they did something for it.
There's more flames, and there's more of the green flames, and there's more of the vines now.
Yeah. Well, another good Downtown Disney thing that is wrapped up, which is good. Well, in Avengers Campus, the ancient sanctum has been quiet since the Doctor Strange show ended there last year. There are now pop-up experiences like that are showing up in the sanctum, like a story time with Loki and Thor. This is similar to the story time with Deadpool, but more family-friendly. There is no schedule for these events, so you kind of just got to like come across them.
Yeah, has to happen naturally. I want to like, what do you suppose story time with Thor and Loki is all about? I mean, I wasn't really sure what story time with Deadpool was going to be, especially when it was, holiday-themed stories with Deadpool. That was very, very popular, but I feel like Loki and Thor, they're, that could be a really good time too.
Yeah. Well, they have that contentious relationship with each other. So I think it could be them disagreeing on how like events went down and like their recollection of things. So I think that could be fun. I do wish, and maybe this will be something that comes back when the construction in that area ends, but I do wish that the Doctor Strange show would come back, because it was a fun show, actually. And we saw it multiple times. And usually those types of shows, we don't spend too much time seeing over and over again.
Especially because you had to sit on the ground for that show. So you were like...
And there was a lot of people in there usually for seeing it too. So we can hope.
We have to get the snacks for Tag and Teresa and James and Bern. Oh, and Cinderella. Time for SnackChat.
Well, this week for SnackChat, we are venturing out to a new menu that is at Salt and Straw. I know that we already talked about Salt and Straw in our tour of downtown. What, have we? Now I can't remember.
We did.
Okay, we did. We've talked about so much food.
We were surprised by some of the things that they had.
Oh, well.
Because we were like, I thought all they had was this. This sounds great.
Got it. Yes. Well, they are debuting for, I'm sure probably for Valentine's Day, the Chocolatiers series, which is a reimagining of a traditional box of chocolates as ice cream flavors. So what are the flavors one can...
So starting on January 30th, we have the Chocolate Almond Gold Bar, which are bite-sized bits of almond caramel chocolate bars from Seattle-based Franz Chocolates, tossed into a salted vanilla ice cream and tied together with ribbons of burnt caramel and dark chocolate stracciatella. Oh,
I should go back. So the five flavors are all collaborations between Salt and Straw and the co-founder Tyler and his favorite chocolatiers. So these are all like made together, which I think is fun. Okay. We also have Cake Batter Chocolate Fudge, which is a decadent cake batter ice cream speckled with rainbow sprinkles and frosted with swirls of brown butter chocolate fudge, created with Jonathan Graham of LA's Compartes.
There's also a chocolate toasted buttermilk tort, which is Oregon honey milk chocolate frozen yogurt swirled with ribbons of caramelized toasted buttermilk fudge. That sounds interesting. Spiced graham cracker crumbles and decadent chocolate cake inspired by the Nest Bar at Portland's Cloud Forest.
Yum. Okay, not a bad flavor choice thus far. Next up, we have raspberry white chocolate cheesecake, which is a tribute to New York City-based Stick With Me's cheesecake bonbon. So it's featuring layers of white chocolate cream cheese ganache, golden graham cracker crumbs, and a tart raspberry jam folded into a tart and creamy raspberry strawberry ice cream.
And finally, there's a cocoa nib root beer float, which is a sweet and aromatic cocoa nib root beer sorbet made with San Francisco's dandelion chocolate and threaded with rich ribbons of 70% Ecuadorian dark chocolate fudge.
And that cocoa nib root beer float is a vegan option. So for our plant-based friends, you have a delicious sounding option as well. Root beer sorbet,
Interesting. They also have a salted brownie waffle cone that is featuring house-made brownie batter sprinkled with sea salt pressed into one of Salt and Straw's signature waffle cones.
Yum. Yeah. So if I went, maybe they have a flight so you can try all of them.
I feel like that's what Salt and Straw just needs to do in general. I feel like they always have so many different options and cool things. So it's just kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It is that time again for our friend Eric over at Concierge to catch us up on other Disney news.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Johnson with Concierge, and welcome to the D180. While Teg and Teresa cover all things Disneyland, in the D180 we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. Let's jump right in. We begin our tour this week in Port Canaveral, where the Disney Adventure dropped in for a quick visit. The Adventure has its maiden voyage set for March of this year, and it seems like it's pretty much ready to go. Dining is always a spotlight on Disney cruises, and the Adventure is no exception. The Navigators Club is nautical in nature and features plenty of fishy dishes for your enjoyment. Voyagers can also meet up with Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Daisy after they perform a few numbers for you. The Animator's Palette is favorite amongst cruisers, and it returns aboard the Adventure. The decor in this restaurant changes through your meal, morphing from sketches to full color as you dine. The menu is a bit different from the other ships, with some savory new dishes and some incredible-looking desserts. Maybe I shouldn't write about food while I'm waiting to pick up dinner, because I am salivating right now. Have I mentioned that on the deck of the Adventure, you can encounter Cinderella Castle itself? Not just a run-of-the-mill painting or mural, there's a 3-story model installed in what they are calling the Disney Imagination Garden. No other cruise ship has an art installation quite like this one. You have to see it to believe it. Cinderella Castle is made up in an almost pop-up book style, designed to look like it sprang from an actual storybook. It's really impressive, and at that scale, this is the sort of thing that you really do have to see to believe. There are so many other elements waiting to greet guests on this maiden voyage from Singapore. The Disney Adventure is truly a new endeavor, making its port in Thailand instead of an American port. I'm looking forward to some of the excellent adventures from a foreign port to even more exotic destinations. The Disney Adventure is almost ready to set sail. Once again, that maiden voyage is in March of this year. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you would like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both the DLWeekly and Concierge. Then reach out to your personal travel planner, Teresa. She looks forward to planning something special for you and yours. I'm Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Thanks, Eric.
You come seeking questions and long-lost Disney information, eh? Sure, you come to the proper place, but keep a weather eye open, mates, and hold on tight, with both hands, if you please. There be squalls ahead, and James and Vern waiting for them what don't answer correctly.
Hello, folks. You're in Trivia Land.
You could almost say, like on the railroad, howdy, folks.
Oh, I know. I feel like I need to try out a bunch of like Disney welcomes to find the one that actually like really works for me.
There you
So
go.
Well, your voice sounds really amazing compared to what you sounded like a couple hours ago.
we'll see how long it holds out because my voice got really deep because I'm losing it. There's a frog in it. I'm not exactly sure.
Ribbit.
There's nothing else, just a weird sounding voice. So it makes,
All right, well,
Your
makes for a good
radio
time.
voice.
Let's weird sound
Yeah.
into some trivia.
Yeah, it'll be great. Who knows? I'll come back in the answers and then just have the really deep voice going.
There you go.
Anyway, all right. 4 questions for you this week. 2 from me and 2 from listeners. First one, in honor of the news of the day, I'm curious how much attention you've paid to this position's history. If you wouldn't mind, could you name all of the Disney CEOs from their time and when they served?
No, because we were literally
my
just talking about
goodness.
this. So, of
Okay.
course,
I only
we had
want the
Walt,
CEOs to be clear, like presidents
Sure.
and chairs of the board is
We
going to
had
be too
Walt.
long of a list.
which I think was the CEO, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you don't ever refer to Walt as
We'll
the CEO.
count Walt in that one, yes.
So he was that till 66 when he passed, right? 66 is what he, yeah,
I
66
don't
is when he
remember the
passed.
names of the other people.
Then his
it was his son-in-law
yeah, his son-in-law, which was
who, like,
Miller.
Ron Miller.
Ron
Yep,
Miller.
Yep, Ron Miller.
And then wasn't the other guy who was like the Card Walker, wasn't he also?
Card Walker, yep.
Yep. So we'll have names, James. I don't know if
Miller.
we'll have time.
Hey, I'm going to be impressed with names. That's good.
I think Ron
I
Miller
feel-
was after Card. Well, because it was
Either way.
yeah, it was something in there. And then we had Michael Eisner.
But was Eisner after Walker? Or Miller? Walker Miller? Anyways.
That's what I'm saying. Is I don't know
Eisner,
about the right
Iger, Chapek, Iger,
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yep. That's kind of a Iger,
Yeah,
Chapek, Iger.
Iger. tomorrow.
Well, we've got Walt and Card and Ron and Michael and Bob and Bob and Bob.
I love that
Josh.
the list is just 3 Bobs in a row. Yeah, it's great.
I feel like maybe there's another one.
There
but I
might be
don't
another,
know.
but I can't
I
think
don't
of who
know.
it was.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty good.
It's not a bad list. We'll learn about those dates later on, but we got to move on to our next question. This comes from our young listener, Zeke, who wants you to name all of the shops that you can find in Bayou Country and the one shop that you could have found there when it was Critter Country.
So we've got Pooh's Corner, which is the one you could have found while it was still Critter Country. You've got Ray's Berets, and you've got, what is it, the Critter Co-op?
Critter.
I
Oh my
figured
goodness.
Tag was going to struggle with this because anytime he gets too close, he's worried that Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to get him wet. So
Stop it. Lewis's Critter Club.
Is there a Critter Co-op? Did I make that up? I
Yes.
feel like that's a thing.
Critter
Okay.
Club is what it is. Because it's a club. Because there's the stage and then there's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
box
yeah.
seat.
But I think, is there a Critter Co-op?
I don't think so. You could say it.
Okay,
if you want.
how many shops are there? Maybe that'll answer
Yeah,
our
give us
question.
a number, James.
there are 3 current shops and 1 former shop.
Oh, well, then there you go.
It
And what do
is
you mean
the
by
Critter Club.
former shop? Are you talking about like what the Ray's Berets used to be,
Possibly.
which was
The Briar Patch.
Briar Patch? Yeah, the Briar Patch. And then what's the churro cart? I guess that's how
something is. There is a Critter Co-op, and I don't know what. Like, I'm not placing what it is. I can see the sign in my brain. So either I've completely made this up, or
We'll find out.
oh, I am so confused.
We will find out. Maybe you are thinking it right, but that's later. Let's move on. Question 3. More history for you. The iconic Dole Whip has always been gluten-free, but in our lifetime, it also became vegan.
Mhm.
What year did it exclusively earn that reputation?
Because what's vegan? Vegan's like it has no animal.
products. So like no.
So what's
milk.
it made out of?
Magic.
That's what gives it its golden color, right?
Yes,
That
yes.
is the correct
That's why it's
answer.
a little shimmer if you hit it in the sunlight, just right.
It is super refreshing in the heat, though.
Okay, so what year did it go vegan?
I don't know why, but my brain just screamed 2007. So I'm
see,
going to say
mine was
2007.
screaming 2009 for some reason.
Okay, well, I'm going to say 2007.
Okay, 2007 and 2009.
Very good. Our last question for you. We will stay in Adventureland. Andy M., listener, voice, very friendly. I'm even giving you his hint at the beginning to tell you to stay at Adventureland because there's a specific reference in the park to a Nobel Prize winner. Can you tell us where and what it is?
It's in the exit of the Opera House. Wait a minute. Say that question
It's
again.
an Adventureland.
Oh, an Adventureland.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, wait a minute.
This is something that
I
like
don't know.
nothing even
Yeah.
sounds familiar to me.
I was going to say, I just latched onto Nobel Peace Prize winner because there's a photo of Barack Obama in the exit. Well, there used to be in the exit of the theater. I think
Sure.
they've switched stuff over. And he won a Nobel Peace Prize.
He did, yep. So that
But
would have
he's
been a good
not
answer.
in Adventureland. So forget that bonus tidbit.
Yeah, I don't even know where.
I'm,
Nope, I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
The best part of Trivia Land. You all get to learn something. The worst part, you have to wait until after a discussion topic that I'm sure is going to go on for a very long time.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under-eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, obviously there is some big Walt Disney
There
Company
is?
news that came out. Yes, Disneyland is closing again. It will never open again.
Oh,
No. Came out of kind of nowhere this week that there was on Monday. This is Tuesday. We're recording this. On Monday, there was a report that came out, a rumor that came out that they were going to vote on Josh D'Amaro to take over as CEO. And this was maybe going to happen this week. It was just a rumor. And like the very next day, not even 24 hours later, bing, bang, boom, on the WaltDisneyCompany.com website, Josh D'Amaro named next chief executive officer of the Walt Disney Company, but not to be overshadowed by the fact that Dana Walden is going to become the president and chief creative officer. So think about, on a very different level, Walt and Roy, and then think about Michael Eisner and Frank Wells, and now Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden. The company has always done a great job when there's been two people kind of leading it, one that's more of a financial person, one that's more of a creative. I don't know if I would consider Josh D'Amaro more of a financial person, but I know that he hasn't done a lot of stuff in the creative realm. He's just done the parks and experiences. And he started with the company at Disneyland. So obviously, great idea.
so Tag got very excited about the news that
Yes.
he forgot that we have an extra person with us.
We're getting there too.
So I want to welcome Alex. You may remember him from various episodes of DLWeekly that he has been on, but also he's got an amazing podcast himself called The Backside of Water. So welcome, Alex. Thanks for joining us for this fun discussion today.
It is always a pleasure to join you guys. Thanks so much for having me, especially on such a momentous occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not every day that we get a new CEO of the Walt Disney Company, but also
It has happened a lot recently.
well,
but yeah.
Bob Iger number 2 doesn't really count because that's kind of like he just we're like, oh, he's back, cool. So Alex, what was your thought when you first heard this news?
I was not surprised. I mean, to be completely honest, I've been Team D'Amaro since about 2015.
Ooh.
I have been watching him and seeing that the company's been kind of grooming him for a large leadership role. And Teresa, I don't know if you were there on the live when I was talking. I've got a conspiracy theory.
Yes.
That my conspiracy theory is that D'Amaro was originally going to be the successor to Iger. And then I think COVID spooked the company and they were like, we need somebody who is going to take us in a pretty radical direction that's all about savings and cost cutting. Tomorrow's not capable, doesn't have the heart to do that. Not physically capable, but emotionally capable to do this. So we need that bulldog to get in there. And Chapek was the person for that job at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that behind the scenes, had COVID never happened, I think we never would have seen Chapek as CEO. And I think that we would have seen a Damaro entrance in 2022, 23. That's my theory. What do I have to back that up? Nothing but hearsay and conjecture.
But I think you're right, because it just felt like, especially with Iger kind of coming back in to like save the day in essence and take back over, that just felt strange. And it just really felt like they put, I don't want to make it sound like I feel bad for Bob Chapek. I do a little bit, but like it's not like, oh, this poor man. I think he knew what he was signing up for. Mm-hmm. I think it was a mutual agreement. I'm sure he probably also benefited from that agreement. But I think that, yes, I agree with you. I think it felt intentional, and we need someone to kind of take the fall and do the hard things. And hey, Bob, what you doing?
I think that was exactly it. I think that they said we need like a sacrifice, a worthy sacrifice. And I would imagine that Chapek was saying, okay, what's the severance package looking like?
Yeah.
And I think that, again, as I bring up all the time, the book Disney War is so good. It talks all about the behind the scenes corporate stuff. I've got a weird obsession with the book, but it shows you behind the curtain of the corporate side. And this is totally in alignment with what a Disney corporate board decision would look like. And so, to, in a long-winded way, answer your question, Tag, I wasn't surprised as much, though I was extremely delighted by the news. Now, Dana Walden, that was a surprise for me. That I didn't necessarily see coming, except for the last few weeks, where her name was coming up more and more. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because literally the day before this announcement came out, I was texting a friend on Instagram, and we were messaging back and forth. And I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a co-CEO situation come up. And I know that that's kind of been on the books, but I think they nailed it with this.
Yeah. I'm so excited because, as all Disney fans know that are like deeper fans than just, hey, I enjoy going to the parks and I enjoy the movies, all know that the company just seems to work better when there's two people at the top versus just one. Because especially now after Iger's exit and all of the different mergers and acquisitions that he did, it's just colossal. So I just can't fathom how one person is supposed to steer this like continent of a ship now, at because there's just, how are you going to find that one person that's going to be super knowledgeable in all of those different things? And if you don't find the person that's knowledgeable, how do you find the person that's going to be able to keep all of those different plates spinning and continuing on? So I'm so excited to see how this goes.
Well, you talked about some conspiracy theories, so I'm going to tell you, Mike, since we're just going to get hot and heavy into conspiracy theory. So I think when Bob Iger left the first time, right, he saw what was coming. Like, he saw what was brewing in China and the beginnings of COVID and knew this was not going to be good, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, sure, fine. Threw Bob Chapek under the bus and left. Then, when things got better and people were very dissatisfied with Bob Chapek, Iger's like, okay, fine. I'll come back since you don't really have somebody good right now. I'll come back and do whatever. Well, this seems to come out of nowhere because he still had time left on his contract. And this just seemed very quick. So my conspiracy theory, I was telling Teresa right as we were eating before the podcast tonight, I said, what if Iger sees another economic downturn and is like, it's time to leave now because I don't want to get stuck. Like, I tried to avoid this before and I did. And we've got somebody, Josh is there. We can just give it to him and I can peace out and have this legacy because, as somebody who works in technology, there's the AI bubble everybody keeps talking about, which I firmly believe is going to pop at some point because everybody's just moving imaginary numbers around to inflate the economy. Of course, we have all of the instability in the United States right now, which like we don't have to delve into that. It's just unstable right now. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of things with our economy that is teetering. And I think that maybe he sees some bellwether like people do in these positions and they can kind of see ahead and with their experience and their knowledge of the industry of like, oh, here comes more rough waters. Peace out.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think that's a really unique and interesting insight. I would be really curious to see, because his contract ended in December, right? Or ends in December, supposedly.
Yeah.
But he's still staying on as an advisor and on the board until then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's not leading it, right? So like he's kind of just there, and he could be like, yep, well, stuff's going down, not my problem.
Yeah, and that's like I say all the time, I really hope that they come up with like a Disney War 2.0 where they talk about from 2020 to 2026. I would love to see that story told from a third party like Disney War was, so you don't have the Disney sugarcoating and you just get that corporate drama. And you might be absolutely right, because I think that everybody's sniffing around economic downturn, and Iger could be the only argument that I have with it is he weathered the storm through 2008 to 2012 as a CEO. So that's my only wonder of if it's within his nature to do that. But I do think the evidence is there, potentially. I think he got something.
But he wasn't trying to protect the legacy at that time. He was still kind of new in the, in as far as that goes. He was still kind of new, right? Because he took over in 2005. So, 4 or 5, so he could weather that one. But this is like, he's not going to want to stick around into his 80s to wait for the company to get better to leave. The other thing I just want to mention, because some people don't know anything about Dana Walden, I'm just going to read from the Disney company's press release about this. She is being put in the co-chairman of Disney Entertainment. Well, she is the co-chairman of Disney Entertainment and was named president and chief creative officer. As co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, she led Disney's world-renowned award-winning entertainment, media, news, and content businesses, including Disney's streaming businesses. In this new role, a historic first for the enterprise, which, I don't know, seems interesting. Walden will report directly to Tomorrow and will ensure the storytelling and creative expression across every audience touch point consistently reflect the brand, engage audiences at scale, and advance core business objectives while driving enterprise-wide initiatives and translating vision into action. So a lot of corporate speak for, like, she did some good stuff in Disney Entertainment, and now she's going to, co-lead.
So how I take that is we all know that Tomorrow, right? He came up through the park side of things.
Yeah.
He's very theme park focused. In fact, that was what his title was parks. What was it? Resorts and experiences and that. So I feel like he's got his pulse on that side of things, but it's a two-sided company, right? So she's got her fingers are on the pulse of the entertainment side. So we're thinking all the TV shows, all the different movies, all that stuff. And so in the modern Walt and Roy or Eisner and Wells, it used to be the creative and the financial needed to balance each other out. Well, now since I think you've got such a behemoth of a corporation, you got to balance out just who's overseeing what parts of the corporation. I think this really makes sense to split it this way. And then you've got whoever that poor finance person is in the background that's trying to reel them in and be like, no, we can't spend all that here. And no, we can't we got to move that there and this and wherever. So we think of that poor person.
Well, it's interesting because bringing that up, I mean, when you look at it, when Walt Disney and Roy were at the helm, I mean, how it wasn't an empire. It was a small government, but it was not an empire at that point. Yeah. And so you did have the ability for somebody to be able to be just a pure creative and somebody to just be pure finance. And I think that as time went on, we see now that you bring up a great point, Teresa, that there really is no way for us to have that bifurcation, that you have to have almost an internal bifurcation where each person can handle the Walt and Roy side, be that Dayun person in each one of these divisions. And obviously, because in 2023, they segmented into 3 different funnels, they're not going to have 3 points of leadership. Yeah. And so it only makes sense to go with 2, but to spread that between these 2, I think is a really smart decision.
Yeah.
I think this is, for fans of the Disney company, I think this is a tremendously good omen for a lot of people. They want two people in the lead. We've talked about, Teresa definitely has talked about on the show that it's just such a big company. Like one person is just, how can one person steer this ship? Like even the Titanic had like, a first officer and stuff. And so having that person to kind of split that way. There was a video that I watched before I knew any of this, by the way. Last Wednesday, I watched a video from Bloomberg Originals on YouTube. It's called Where Disney is Heading in the Next Century. And they talk to Dana Walden on that.
Oh.
And they were saying in that reporting that she was one of a couple, the other being Josh D'Amaro, that was up for the CEO role. And I was like, I don't know this person at all. Where did this name come from? I've only heard, because we're parks people, so of course we've heard Josh D'Amaro. And it's a 22-ish minute video. I recommend people go look it up. We'll probably put a link in the show notes if you're interested. And it just kind of had a cool interview with her, and you kind of got to know her a little bit and what her history with the company is and where she sees the company going and what they need to do. And of course, they talked about some things about how even Bob Iger conceded that they spent too much money on streaming, that like they invested too much with that and it didn't really pay off. But where they're seeing the bulk of their earnings, and we could talk a little bit about the earnings commentary because the earnings came out just before all of this, right? Like last week. And so they talked about how so much of their profit comes from the experiences, which includes theme parks, cruise ships, resort hotels.
Which is wild because that's not new. Like it's been that way for a while. But what is new is I feel, especially now with them announcing Josh being the main person in charge, the CEO, the parks person, I think they're really embracing that. And so that makes me extra excited for the future for theme parks and experiences and, the tangible side of it, and not just the stuff that we can experience on the screen.
Well, and I think that it's probably pretty obvious why I would imagine that they were kind of neck and neck as far as who was going to be placed CEO, who was going to be chief creative. And like I talked about earlier in the live earlier today, I think the biggest consideration is, though D'Amaro does not have a lot of media experience, there is plenty of media going on inside of the parks. The creative team behind all of the digital and visual media in the parks is a production company in and of itself. And the way that the production schedules go, the way the releases go, all of that is very similar to a production studio. And it was designed that way from the start because Walt brought all of his knowledge from filmmaking into the way that the parks are run. And so as a result, I said earlier, and I still stand by this, that parks inform media significantly more than media is informed by the parks.
Oh, sure.
And I think that that's why D'Amaro was the one who eked out the CEO position in this way, because the experience in the parks helps him understand the media side of things more so than vice versa.
Isn't that wild to think? Because, right, the Walt Disney Company originally was media, and they introduced the park, and now just over the years, it's just kind of shifted into what really the primary driver is of, who's in the driver's seat. It's more that the parks and the experiences, which is,
Well, and the peanut gallery is always going to squawk whenever you see somebody in a position of authority. And that's one of the biggest criticisms that people have about Josh D'Amaro is, can he handle the media empire? And the thing that we always have to remember, y'all, how much experience did Bob Iger have in theme parks? The answer is 0. He came from ESPN. He came from ABC. He came from nothing but television and was able to go in. And the first thing that he did, he acquired a film production company, an animation production company, something he so completely did not know about. But what Iger did, and this is the thing, is people are always going to see Iger's legacy as somebody who just acquired. It wasn't acquisition that Iger will be known for from a professional standpoint. It's relationship building that Iger will be known for, because he was able to secure the relationships that Eisner broke down through Pixar. And if it wasn't for Iger, it's very well documented Steve Jobs would have walked away from that agreement the moment that contract was done. But it was Iger who was able to build a good relationship. And because of that, they were able to get more steam. Same thing with George Lucas. He was able to trust that Iger would handle that IP well. Now, did that happen? I don't know. I've got opinions about that. I think it did, but there's a lot of Star Wars fans who are debate on that. But
just remember, Alex, nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Amen. Isn't that sad?
It's true. It's a very passionate folk.
It's kind of the same though with like theme parks though, because it's so easy for everyone to like tear things apart instead of be, excited. And
well, that's kind of the era we live in, is that it's so easy for anybody. I mean, look at us, the three of us. We're sitting here with an audience of however many, spewing our opinions out to everybody who would listen. And 20, 30 years ago, the three of us would be having this conversation, and that's where it would be.
At the local Denny's. Yeah. But here's what one thing that I do think is different, though, is I feel like the discussion that we're having, and this is something that I see overall, the discussion that we're having is one that's positive in nature, that we're hopeful, that we're actually rooting for this person. And I think that there's a lot of precedent to say that that's the heart of creativity. That's the heart of imagination, is having hope for the future, that it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow is what we're looking at. And so often Disney fans kind of lose sight of that hopeful future because we can become cynical. We can become so internalized on these things that we tend to just say, oh, well, there goes the neighborhood. Let's see what this guy does. And because of that, we might not even give somebody a chance who absolutely deserves a chance. So I would say that what we're doing right here is by far more beneficial to the overall creative process and the overall experience from Disney, the Disney experience in general, than somebody's who's going to come out and be like, well, is he going to drop the ball next week? I'm waiting until he does, and then I'm going to write an article about it.
Yeah.
I do want to address, because there has been, right, it's easy, again, we just talked about that. It's easy to kind of go to the negative. And I think a lot of people, there has been some less than happy feelings that have been shared out into the universe about this announcement. And I think we should talk about that for a moment. Yeah. So a lot of people are like,
I haven't been online, so I don't know any of the
well, a lot of people,
thoughts.
Which is true, because I mean, I've even had these thoughts. It's like, well, he was around for all these things that happened that we didn't really like, and whatever. But the other thing you have to remember is, yes, he was around for the things we don't like in the parks, like, I don't want to get tags started, but Lightning Lane. He was around for Lightning Lane. He was around for, all these different things that are new.
Reservations, those,
all these things that are new that maybe we don't really like, because, it makes it more difficult or whatever. But
great for your business, though, because you get to do it for everybody.
That's true. The other side of that is, yes, he was present for those decisions, but we don't know what his thought was on those decisions because he was not the one that was sitting at the head of the table. And part of being in business and being in a big company like that is being part of those discussions and just having to sometimes do things that you don't want to do or you don't agree with. But now that he's in charge, we're going to see where, we're going to see, we could see a different side of him. He could have been having to go along with things because that was what he was having to do. He could have been very loud in the background and in those closed door meetings about things that we don't know about. So,
but there's something you got to remember, and this is something that I really am discouraged by in general, not just with Disney, but with other companies I enjoy, is it is a publicly traded company.
Oh, yeah.
So as the CEO of a publicly traded company, unfortunately, your number one thing that you need to do is think about shareholder value.
Yeah.
And what that means to business folk is you need to take whatever assets you have and use them to the best of your ability to generate as much revenue as possible while keeping expenses down so you could create that value for shareholders, whether you want to do these things or not. And I've seen some reporting before all of this happened about how even if Disney wanted to get rid of Lightning Lane, they can't, because the lost revenue from that would show up on a statement, and the board and the shareholders would be very upset by that, because they're like, what do you mean you're experiences division that have a record quarterly revenue of 10 billion this last quarter. I'm reading that directly from this quarter. And now you're only making 9.5 billion this quarter.
9.87, yeah.
Yeah. Like, they don't like that because in the current state that we have things is that chart always has to be going up and to the right. Like, as long as that line keeps going up, people are happy. I think that one thing that's nice, and Iger has figured this out, I assume Josh kind of hopefully had some say in this, is they're realizing that the parks make a lot of money and you make more money. Look at Universal. They spent all that money building Epic Universe, and look at how crazy people have been about Epic Universe. I was crazy. I'm crazy about Epic Universe. And I think Disney's looking at going, if you spend the money and the time wisely, you don't just throw money at it, but you spend it in good places and you make a really great experience, you're going to rake in cash that way. You don't have to nickel and dime people on what you have. If you just keep raising the bar, that's what the Disney parks have always done. Mm-hmm. You know, they build it and they keep plussing it and they keep making it better and they keep adding to it. And they keep adding more parks and people spend more and more money. And I think that they could keep the product priced competitively if they created more. And the way they do that is I think, and this won't happen probably, but they should build a third Disney resort in the United States, because their big complaint is we charge what we do because it's supply and demand, and our demand outstrips our supply.
Yes.
Well, make more supply. You can do it. You've done it all around the world.
Yep.
Do it again in the U.S.
Do it in Texas. Texas is like a centrally located. It's a temperate climate.
Yeah.
It's going to bring in an entirely new demographic in that area. I've been looking, like, for some reason, I've been like Texas for the past number of years for a perfect location. Well, let me ask you something, both of you guys. Do you feel that you have gotten a more and more positive experience out of Disney, or do you feel like your experience over the last 10 years has diminished?
Are you talking theme parks or as a whole?
Yes.
I think that there was a lot of promise with Disney Plus. I wish that Disney Plus would have been more successful than it ended up being, because it seems like people that have kids or Disney fans are the people who buy Disney Plus.
Okay.
And they'll keep it or whatever, but you're not getting, like, it's not like the Netflix, right? Not everybody feels like they need Disney Plus.
Uh-huh.
So I wish that would have gone a little bit better, because they were doing when they were throwing ungodly amounts of money at it, it was cool. We had brand new Marvel shows. Like, when Disney Plus launched, I loved the fact that, like, there was one show that everybody was interested in.
Yep.
And when that show would wrap, the next week, the next show would start. Like, there was always a new thing that you were just rolling into. I didn't have to choose between, do I want to watch Mandalorian or WandaVision? It was like, I'll watch WandaVision, and then the Mando will come on, and I'll watch that, and then whatever the next thing is. And that was
$7.99 instead of $15.99.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And then they had ads and all this stuff, and I get that they have to make money, and it's expensive and whatever. Anyway, so that was that. Okay. For the theme parks, I think that a lot of us fans, and I told this to Teresa, I've said it on the podcast too, is we have been getting a lot of stuff as fans from the theme parks. Look at all the stuff that's happened since we've done this podcast. Mm-hmm. Galaxy's Edge has opened on both coasts. We had a renovation of Guardians of the Galaxy from Terror, which, like, okay, that's like a net, flush or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's different. We had Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. They redid that. We have Pixar Pier. So some of this stuff is like refreshes, which you got to do. And some of it is like new. Look over in Florida. Florida has Guardians out there. They had Ratatouille. They had the Frozen attraction they've done. They added the Skyliner. They've added, there's so much Pandora. Mm-hmm. Like, all of these things have been added recently, and they're building more stuff. We're going to get Coco. We're going to get 2 Avengers attractions. Whatever this Disneyland Forward is going to end up being. They're investing heavily right now, but I feel like all we focus on is, the annual pass used to be, and I say this, the annual pass used to be $229 and had no blackouts and free parking and everything in 2003. And if I lived in Southern California and I bought even the highest end pass, if I went 3 or 4 times a month, that's an exceptional deal for what you get.
Yeah.
Go see a Broadway show. A Broadway show is like $200, $300, $400+ per person for, like, what, 2-3 hours of your time.
Like, I would say that you are the archetypal Disney fan, to be completely honest. And think of it, this is really interesting when you think about it this way. What you just explained is what the traditional Disney fan feels. And I think it's really interesting that they put DeMauro in the place of power that he is, because they know that he already knows what he's doing to provide what guests want in the park. Sure, there are some negatives, but they're also seeing that he can potentially turn around those negative areas like streaming. Because let's be honest, Iger's moves weren't always a smooth evolutionary transition. A lot of times we had that missing link that kind of needed to go extinct. Disney Plus merging with Hulu is the weirdest missing link that we could ever have right now. That if those two came out all at once, it would be great. Or if they came out separately and kept the price low, that would be great. But the fact that we're in between this evolutionary step, and I think that, again, the biggest thing that I'm looking at is a net gain from the experiential side. I personally, I even said this on the live earlier, that we went to Disney World 9 years ago in 2017, and it was a horrible time. Obviously I had a 2.5-year-old kid, and for some reason he just did not want to have fun at Walt Disney World. So that played into it. But at the same time, it was a different time. Fast forward, we got back from Disney World 2 weeks ago, and my wife, who gets very overwhelmed by Disney crowds, she just 2 nights ago, she said, I miss Walt Disney World. Missed it. Yeah. And so here's the thing. This is what I think it's important to keep in mind is the Disney parks experience is no less if you don't buy the add-ons. If the add-ons were compulsory, I could see a reason for complaint. But Lightning Lane, if you don't deal with it and you don't think about it, it doesn't affect us.
It makes the standbys longer, but yeah.
Well, but at the same time, it can also, because being a former cast member, FastPass did the same thing. FastPass, if anything, was worse because we were required to take a FastPass at any time after its window. Lightning Lane, you have a 15-minute time, and if it's past that, then you're done. I was collecting FastPasses on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad that read 2:30 p.m. at 9:30 that night when we were still in a 45-minute wait. And so this isn't, in that regard, we're not seeing that big of a movement and a change. And let's be honest, Disney is unmatched when it comes to efficiency. There's a reason why it's one of the 5 keys, and you never stand still in a Disney queue.
Which, can we just say that if guests would acknowledge that Disney is good at efficiency and just do what Disney wants, it would be so much better for everybody.
Yeah.
But every individual thinks that they know best. You can see this on times where they're trying to do crowd control and people are like, but I want to go that way. And they're like, listen, if you just go this way, you'll get there so much faster and easier and you won't be pushing through people. But people are like, but I'm just trying to go right there. Just listen to us.
Yes, 100%. And I would also argue that, again, from the net positive, the net gain, I believe that we're getting better experiences from Disney parks than we've ever had before. And that's what I have to gauge off of. And again, when you were talking earlier from a financial standpoint, if we're going up and to the right, that's what they're looking for. From an experiential side, if we're seeing up and to the right, then that's a benefit. But when we have those moments where the line dips a little bit, we start to falter, we start to freak out. We have to remember, we're not getting 2 or 3 of the shows, but we're getting multi-billion-dollar attractions. We're sacrificing in one area to get a better gain in another area. And so that's something overall that I've really been thinking about is what are we getting versus what are we sacrificing? And maybe I'm just privileged. I don't know, but I feel like I'm going to the parks and getting some great stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
One thing with Lightning Lane, when you brought up Avatar and like the world of Pandora,
yeah,
I thankfully did not have to experience this. And Alex talking about, going in 2009 versus 2 months or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
just think of that. I remember seeing reports that when the Flight of Passage opened, people were literally, that was their day, was standing in line and waiting to experience that attraction. It was like 5-6 hour waits. So that is one positive, because now when things open like Tron or Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, or anything that when it opens, Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland, the virtual queues, is it a pain? Yes, it 100% is a pain. Does my heart go out to the people that don't know that this new attraction that they came here to see, you have to do this virtual queue hoop to jump through this? Yes, my heart goes out to those people. But in Alex's argument here, net positive. Yeah. Right? Like it's overall your experience is better.
But you were negatively impacted by this. You went to Epcot and you wanted to ride Guardians, and you never got to ride it on the couple days that you were there. Like, would you rather have been able to make the choice to stand in a 4-hour line to do it, where if you don't get that queue, that choice is taken away from you?
I think for me, maybe this is not a popular option. I think it was better that choice was taken away from me, because then I wasn't spending time trying to decide.
Oh, sure.
I think there's both sides of the argument, because again, we have to talk and say, and I think we've talked about this before. How many attractions does Disney design for you to ride in a day?
Yeah, that's a good point.
10 attractions. That's their model. Is if you ride 10 rides, then you have gotten good value. And I would agree with that.
We get excellent value.
And we do get excellent value.
Exactly it. That's exactly it. That your design, if you get 10 rides, you've gotten a good value. But you guys get how many attractions in one single day? So you're getting so much better value. The risk that you run with that, if you can wait in a 4-hour line, you're minimizing your value of your time spent in the park. So there really is a net positive from being given a different choice if your virtual queue disappears, which to me, I believe that virtual queue is the future of all theme parks across the globe. I think that's the way things will be in the next 30 years. I think every attraction will move to a virtual queue, because what they can do is they can give you your time to return. Now you go eat and spend.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is just think of Disneyland. Disneyland is landlocked, right? Mm-hmm. If you got rid of all of the space that queues happen in, they could build a lot more stuff that you could do.
Think of just Indy's queue.
Yeah, in Indy,
you could have an attraction to get to the attraction.
Well, Rise of the Resistance has a very extensive queue as well. So there's lots of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. All of that you could fit a whole nother attraction in Toontown if you didn't have that. So that's interesting. But conversely though, and we're totally off track of the CEO thing at this point.
No, but I think that this is all connected.
But like, what if your reason for going to the park, like, let's say, I'm in the Midwest, right? Teresa's in the Midwest. What if I plan a trip to Disney World for the explicit thing that I want to ride Guardians of the Galaxy, and I get there and I can't get a virtual queue or whatever for it, and now my perception of my trip is ruined, because that was the goal of my trip. I wouldn't care if I had to wait all day for it. I wanted to experience that attraction, and I got there and I can't.
I think that as survival of the fittest, as Darwinian as this sounds, I would say that Disney would look at that as a casualty of war. That there's some people that, unfortunately, you're going to get the short end of the stick sometime. Yeah. And that's a bummer.
Well, maybe they just shouldn't make so many great in-demand attractions. Well, we had so much fun talking with Alex about all of the changes with the CEO and the chief creative officer that we couldn't fit it all into this episode, so we will continue our conversation next week.
In episode 222 and 338, we spoke to Debbie and Steve with Designer Park Company about their rope drop, park view, and single rider bags, and more that we use and love. In fact, as I'm recording this, I am wearing their fancy new crystal encrusted ears or mouse headbands that you can order online. But if you've been wanting to get one of these park goer bags, or perhaps a nice fancy shiny set of ears for yourself, you can use our promo code DLWeekly to get 10% off your purchase at designerparkco.com.
And they look really cool. They look like Disney quality, great
They're
rhinestones. Is that what's on them?
rhinestone ears, yes. And we've been recording now for
A long
almost 3 hours. And my head it doesn't even, not even
Still
bothered.
comfortable.
Still comfortable.
That's awesome.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to producer James or producer Vern at trivia@dlweekly.net.
Teresa, I'm blinded by your sparkles. But those are always welcome in Trivia Land. I'm glad you're back again.
I don't know why, but every time I hear the term rhinestone, there used to be like a commercial or something that was like a rhinestone cowboy. Yeah, but there was like one of those. I think it was one of those commercials where they were like, order the whatever thing, and you could get songs like. Yeah.
So then they kept using the same excerpt.
I'm old.
It wouldn't be a podcast without Tag singing a random song. I feel like this has become the
However,
thing.
it wasn't a random Disney song.
That's true. Okay, yeah. Questions. We got to wrap this thing up. First question I asked you this week was if you could name me the history and legacy of the Disney CEOs through the time, and if you could tell me the years of service. So we started off with the co-founders of Walt and Roy. Walt serving 1923 to 1966, Roy continuing until 1971.
Dang it!
Oh, yeah, Roy.
Yeah, couldn't believe that one.
Oh, we failed.
Sorry, Roy. In this trivia question, it was just like in your life, you were just never the person that people paid attention to.
Poor Roy.
Yep.
Poor Roy.
Apparently, you really didn't like that era because you also did not name Don Tatum.
Yeah.
Served from 1971 to 1976.
It was a dark time.
It was a dark time.
We're going to say Roy and Eisner because that was on us. Bad Disney fans for not remembering.
Yep.
Well, they didn't do anything notable, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Walt Disney World.
Well, no, Roy did. I'm saying the people after Roy and before Eisner.
Okay.
Don Tatum.
Like they built Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And then we went to Cardwalker, like you said, 1976 to 1983. Ron Miller, 1983 to 1984. Michael Eisner, 84 to 2005. Bob Iger's first stint, 05 to 2020.
Pause. We totally could have done the years of the later stuff. We just didn't.
You really could have. I figured you knew Eisner.
We could have got partial credit at least. And we just totally were like, nope.
Not a chance. Yep. Just moving on. So, yep. Chapek 2020, 2022, Iger 2022 until now-ish, whatever that transition period is, and soon Josh tomorrow. So looking forward to how that one goes. Second question from listener Zeke: what are the names of the shops in Bayou Country and the one former shop from Critter Country? You got around to all four of them. Nice work. Raise Berets. Lewis's Critter Club, not co-op. Sorry, Teresa. They should really consider that. It's a great name for it. But Pooh Corner has all the good snacks that you think about in a co-op, and the Briar Patch.
Boom.
Third question, taking it down into Adventureland. The iconic Dole Whip has always been gluten-free, but in our lifetime, it also became vegan. What year did it exclusively earn that reputation? You all are a little ahead of your time. Not 2007, not 2009, 2013.
Oh, there we go.
Took a little bit of time to remove what I assume was some sort of milk product to give it some of that creaminess to it. But I don't know for sure, and I don't know if there's like that genuine recipe out there from the time. But anyway, we move on. Listener Andy M. asks, there is a specific reference to it in Disneyland to a Nobel Prize winner. Can you tell us where and what it is? And he did offer the hint that I gave you quickly of the reference is in Adventureland. You both had no idea. The answer, it can be found in the Jungle Cruise and is none other than the namesake of the famous Schweitzer Falls.
Oh.
According to Harper Goff, Walt let him name the waterfall and he decided to name it after Albert Schweitzer, who was awarded the Nobel Prize for Humanitarianism in 1953.
Wow.
Schweitzer.
This whole time I thought it was a fictional.
Well, that's because we were told that it was named after the famous dude, Dr. Albert Falls.
Yes. So it's kind of complicated, but Schweitzer's history is cool. He set up a medical system and hospital in what is now known as Gabon to help treat leprosy, malaria, dysentery, syphilis, and several other diseases.
Wow.
Good person to find inspiration for, and good person for a namesake.
So interesting. Huh. Dang it. We should have... Would have been real helpful if Alex would have stuck around for Trivia Land. But...
Oh, well.
Might have helped you out.
Okay, I need to just say this because I thought I was losing it. There is a critter co-op, but it's in Magic Kingdom.
Oh.
I'm like, I have seen this sign. How would I imagine this sign? Well, that's
so where
wrong
is it
park.
in Magic
wrong
Kingdom?
Park. Well, it's over in there, like where by their Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Oh, okay. And that's what it's called now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's like the current version. I'm like, I've seen. Did I make this up? Am I that vivid of dreams? I don't know.
Is it just Critter Co-op or is it Lewis's Critter Co-op?
Nope, Critter Co-op.
Oh, okay.
See, the thing is now you're doing travel planning, so you're learning about
all
other
of
things,
the
and now
parks
it's all
are just
starting to smash together.
mushing together now. Yeah,
That'll happen. That'll happen.
That's okay.
But hey, another fun week. Good learning opportunity for all of us together, and cool history and current questions. Got any ideas while you're listening and screaming at us at home? Well, just send us in. Go to the website, dlweekly.net/trivia, and submit your questions, and you'll hear them on the podcast eventually.
I challenge our listeners to make this a record-breaking week, and I would like 10 trivia questions submitted, because I was so excited this week because we get an email that tells us how many people have filled out the form. It doesn't tell us what they filled out. That goes directly to the producers, and we don't see it. But it said that there were 6 submissions, and James said it was because there was some submission errors. And so I want 10 actual submissions before next week. So if you got the questions, now's the time to submit it.
And you'll give producer Vern a lot to choose from and think about when he does trivia next week.
Yeah.
So that should be a good time.
We will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
A special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast, Andy Mack for all the wonderful character transitions, and to James D for supporting at the Club 33 level.
And to Alex from Backside of Water for talking to us forever.
Yes.
And for putting up with my voice as it got deeper and deeper.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.